This is Erin Hobson with Rhinebeck School of Music, and in this lesson we're going to learn all about rhythm guitar basics for beginners. So some people prefer to play with a pick and others prefer to play with their hands. If I'm playing with my hands, with my just no pick, sometimes I'll just use my thumb if I want kind of a soft approach, or I'll dig in with the backs of my nails, even pretend like I'm holding a pick, but I'm not. So those are techniques that you can explore. If you're gonna use a pick to strum, there's all different types of picks, all different types of shapes and sizes, and all different types of thicknesses. So people ask me, well, what kind of pick should I get? And the answer is probably get a variety to start. You probably want a bunch of thin ones, some medium ones, heavy, extra heavy. And the reason why is because it's all personal preference. I prefer a heavier pick, but some people prefer a thinner pick, and it's really up to you. So I have this as a heavier pick, and this is a thinner pick. I tend to think that the thinner pick has a thinner sound. It also has some more flexibility, so it has more give. It's a little bit easier. So really, it's just up to you. It's your personal preference. I would try a bunch of different ones and see what you like. And I've been through them all. I've been through the small little teardrop jazz picks, and then the bigger ones, and then the giant metal picks that are big triangles. So, there's all kinds of things on the market. So just go out and explore and figure out what you like. The other thing is how to hold a pick. So I always say make a fist and put your pick between your thumb and your pointer finger, and you're going to make a tight fist like this, and everything is in your wrist. It's all about being very loose, like you're shaking water off your hand like this, right? You don't want to hold any tension, because the more tension that you hold in your right hand, the harder it's just going to be for you to play and express yourself. And the other thing is the angle of the pick. So a lot of my students in the beginning, they're like straight up and down, raking really hard across the strings. And that's pretty abrasive, and it can be pretty, it can just sound really harsh. So you kind of want to feather everything and be very light about it. And what I do is I kind of angle the pick, if you can see it. I'm angling it up when I strum down, and when I come back, I angle it the other way. So it's kind of like this floppy wrist going back and forth, but I'm kind of angling the pick as I'm doing it, because if I'm straight up and down, that's going to cause a lot of resistance against the strings, and it's going to create a harsher sound. So you want everything to kind of be like, think very light and feathery as you're strumming and as you're playing. So the next thing you want to invest in if you are going to be a good rhythm guitar player is a metronome. So a metronome is a time-keeping device, and there's all kinds of metronomes on the market. You can start with something that's just really simple and cheap, like the QuickTime metronomes. Seiko makes them. There's all different brands, all the way up to some that you can spend a couple $100s on, and they talk to you. And and there's free apps you can get on your phone. One that I use is Pro Metronome. You can pay for extra features, but it gives you just a basic quarter note pulse. And that's what you want to start with. So what you want to do is you want to put it on a very slow tempo. And by tempo, I mean how fast or slow the rhythm is going to be. So if you're at something like 60 beats per minute, or BPM, that is going to be a slower tempo than 100 beats per minute. And that's going to be kind of in the middle of 120 beats per minute, 140 beats per minute. So you can, the best thing to do as a beginner, you want to start slow and work your way up. So I always start my students at around between 70 and 80 beats per minute. And then we work our tempos up, higher as we get better. So you can start with one chord. We're not going to talk about switching chords right now, because that's a little too complicated when we're just talking about our right hand and being able to keep good time. So I have my metronome pulled up here, and I have it at 70 beats per minute, and I just have my C chord, my basic C chord. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to find that quarter note pulse, and I'm just going to strum with the quarter note pulse. So here we go. So that's pretty easy. That's just a quarter note pulse. So no matter what you're playing, if you're tapping your foot to a song or if you're feeling a beat, generally what you're latching onto is the underlying quarter note pulse of the song. So I could play anything over these quarter notes, and you can, when you tap your foot to it, it's still going to be the quarter note pulse. So for example, if I played something like so I was doing a lot of syncopation in that rhythm, but under it all was still just this underlying quarter note pulse that if you were dancing to it or you were kind of feeling it or tapping your, bobbing your head to it, you'd be feeling that quarter note pulse. So next we're going to talk about eighth notes. So the way I describe eighth notes are they're like fitting two notes within one quarter note. So I will show you what I mean. So here's the quarter note pulse, 3, 4, and eighth notes are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you can play those quarter notes in a driving rock kind of way by doing all down strums, and that gives you this kind of driving heavier feel. Or you can practice them going down and up strum, just down 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm going to play both of those to the 70 beats per minute on my metronome so you can hear the difference. So here's a driving eighth note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm only doing down strums. So that's more of a rock approach. And then here I'm going to go down, up, down, up, down, up. So I'm going down strum with the click of the metronome and up during that space where it's not clicking. 2, 3, here we go. Down, up, 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 down, up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now we're going to try a couple of combinations of quarter notes and eighth notes. So the most common strumming pattern that I always start my students with, and I'm going to just do this on a C chord, is doing a quarter note and then eighth notes. So it would be like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Here it is with the metronome. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. So that's one example, but you can just keep combining quarter notes and eighth notes however you want. So we did quarter, eighth, eighth, eighth. We could do quarter, eighth, and that would be like this. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. You could do eighth, eighth, quarter, which would be the opposite. 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2. 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. So you can see, you can just make different combinations. So use your creativity. You can even write them out if you know how to write out a quarter note and an eighth note. And you can create different patterns for yourself. Always play with the metronome because it's going to help you count. It's going to help you have a good time. It's going to help you to not speed up, to not slow down, and that's so important with rhythm guitar. You always want to be in time. And if 70 beats per minute is too slow after a while, then you knock up the tempo to, maybe go up to 85. I'm going to go up to 80 for now. But here's 80. So you can keep increasing the tempo as your skills get better and as you get better at doing this. So to recap, choose a pick. That's all your preference. That's your personal preference, whether you want a thin or a heavy or medium. I'd recommend getting a bunch to start. Look for the underlying quarter note pulse when you're listening to music. That's the beat that you're drawn to and feeling and counting as something's playing. Always start there. That's where the metronome click is the quarter note. And then you can divide the quarter note into an eighth note, and that gets a half a beat each, fitting 2 notes within 1 quarter note beat. So, and then just practice different strumming patterns using quarter notes and eighth notes. And we're going to talk about triplets and sixteenths in later videos, and then we'll even talk about syncopation, which means taking some of the downbeats away and accenting more of the offbeats. So there's lots of fun to be had with rhythm guitar.